with the success of the new Star Trek movie, it's been one of those things we've been talking about on the show recently is what makes Star Wars, what makes Star Trek, Star Trek. Because, J.J. Abrams really is a fan of Star Wars and was very open about being more of a fan of Star Wars than he was of Trek. And so he really wanted to kind of make Star Trek cool again by infusing it with some Star Wars. So the question has been, what's the formula to make Star Wars? And we've all kind of felt that it's more fantasy than sci-fi. But you agree with that?
Yeah, well, I mean, personally, yeah. I mean, I think that it's there. You can go into some of the science of Star Wars, but there's always that element that Obi-Wan was just a wizard, and Luke is, the boy going out into the wilderness, be it the forest or whatnot. And you go right down the Joseph Campbell list, and that was always something very, very intense. The visions in the cave, and when you look at especially the classic Star Trek, the Gene Roddenberry stuff, a lot of it was very socially commentary. Mm-hmm. The direction of it, and it was also great in what it was doing. So, both things. I know that there was a lot made when we brought George Takei on to do a voice on the Clone Wars, and that became a very big deal. But I think both franchises have stood the test of time so well. They're both so great in their own right, and I think it's exciting and good for everybody that a movie like Star Trek does well.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really exciting movie, and it's just, if J.J. Abrams did do it more in the Star Wars vein, then I think that just speaks well to the formula that is Star Wars. It is the mythic journey of a person to take chances and to believe in himself, and it can only be a good thing. And the message is good, in either. I like personally that Star Trek was just a lot of fun, and it wasn't overly dark. You could laugh at a lot of the jokes in it, and it's something that I always remarked to a lot of people about Star Wars was, a lot of the things that especially Han Solo brought was very funny.
Right.
When he's down in the detention center and he's trying to describe a reaction. I mean, come on. But it's funny, and that made Star Wars accessible to a whole group of people that I think otherwise wouldn't go to necessarily that kind of movie. You know, forever I think Star Wars people were like, well, yeah, I like Star Wars, but who doesn't? And it wasn't always considered such a total nerd thing because everybody just knew it, and everybody had a Star Wars party when they were a kid, and we all grew up with it, and now we're all trying to decide, well, what are we going to do with that passion for Star Wars, and how do we handle it? And people deal with it in I guess totally different ways, and it's an exciting time. It's an exciting time to be in movies. It's an exciting time to watch movies, and people are always challenging what's possible nowadays, and it's crazy. A series like the Clone Wars you couldn't even make just a couple short years ago. It would have been unthinkable to try and do the types of visuals we're doing. And when you look at some of the visuals they did in the Star Trek movie, and just how far they've come, it's really awesome just to get your popcorn and go watch these things.
Yeah.
Hey, this is Dave Filoni of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, and you are listening to Rebel Force Radio with Jason and Jimmy.